about this particular sermon because it's about understanding. And I want to read a parable that Jesus and the problem that Jesus faced in his particular day as he was teaching his disciples. And whenever you're a teacher, you want to make sure that people understand what you're teaching. I remember early on when I worked with my dad, we were remodeling a home and we were tearing out the lath and plaster and all of that, and we were putting in electric wiring. And he was trying to explain to me how electricity works and how it flows and all of those things, and I just couldn't comprehend it. I couldn't understand what he was trying to tell me. And I'm kind of like the theory of relativity. I can relate to it, but I really don't comprehend and understand. And that is not uncommon with us because we read from the Apostle Paul who says, in this lifetime, we see through a glass darkly, but then we will see and we will understand. We will have a greater appreciation for what God is doing. So when Jesus was teaching in parables, his disciples did not understand everything that he was saying. But I think what we can gain from this today is a perception, a concept that hopefully will help us all in understanding the importance of understanding. Now, I thought I had begun this sermon several months ago in my head, which is generally where I start, anyway. And then I thought, well, I'll just simply go to a topical Bible, I'll go to a commentary, I'll go to a theological dictionary, I'll look up some of these things, and there'll be a lot. Interestingly enough, there was nada, zippo, nothing on understanding. And I mean, obviously the word is used in the Bible, the Greek and the Hebrew and all of those things. But as far as a subject, I wasn't able to find something in this regard. So with that thought in mind, though, I hope that all of us can come to a greater understanding about understanding. So I want to give this example, this parable that Jesus gives us in Matthew chapter 13. And we'll begin here in verse 10. It says, the disciples came to him and asked him, why do you speak to the people in parables? And Jesus replied, the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven have been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. And whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. Now, this to me is a very, very important aspect of our understanding. And the growth that God is giving to, I think, each one of us and helping us in life to realize and appreciate God's work even as we mature. And I use the word mature, as we all grow older. But the reality is we gain a better understanding of God, who He is, in life. And I'd like to use that appreciation in the terms of people who have been married for a long time. You start off with love and all of those things, and you end up in love. But as you grow older, you understand things in a way that you really didn't understand them. And you've got to go through the whole process to appreciate all of those things. It says, this is why I speak to them in parables. Though seeing, they do not see. And though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed be your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For I tell you a truth, many prophets and righteous men have longed to see what you see, but do not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. So he's telling his disciples that they are a unique group of individuals and seeing what they see and hearing what they hear. But I'm going to suggest that his disciples did not really truly appreciate what he was telling them. And even in the moment, they're very thankful, and they're thinking, well, we're part of an elite group of individuals. We're disciples of Jesus. As Peter, has said, that I believe that you are the Son of God. But they, like us, still see through a glass darkly. And there were things yet to happen that would give them a better understanding, a better appreciation in life. Now, I want to go back and pick up, for the sake of our understanding, the importance of understanding, the Solomon, Proverbs, and what it has to say about understanding, and what understanding can do in our life. And I would hope that we can appreciate, in the world in which we live, the lack of understanding on the one hand, that there is much to be understood yet, on the one hand, and yet on the other hand, that as we understand, there's a result of that. So I think the problem that we face in our world today in terms of understanding is that, as Dave was talking about the theory of relativity, there are a few people who understand the theory of relativity and time and space and all of that. I'm not one of those individuals who understand that regard. But in our world today, where we understand, for example, how the body works, we understand the functioning of the body, what it does. We understand more and more about how the brain works and the parts of the brain, how endorphins work and how chemicals work within our bodies and help us to think and be and work on our moods, attitudes, all of those things. They work in that. The more we understand the creation, the more we understand the universe, what it should do is lead us to a greater understanding of God. Unfortunately, in our world today, as we understand more, we move further and further away from God. And that ought not be. And that's why it is so important to understand. And so we start here in the book of Proverbs in chapter 2. Here's what Solomon says. A wise man admonition to gain understanding. He says here in verse 1, my son, if you accept my words and store up my commands within you, turning your ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understanding. So there is application. This is important, that we actually apply ourselves to understand something. Just like we say tongue-in-cheek, the wife says to the husband, I want you to understand me. And if we're not careful, we don't validate that. We don't understand who they are and where they're coming from and appreciate all those things. We don't always do that. So here's application. He says, and if you call out for insight and cry aloud for understanding, and if you look for it as silver, as something that is precious, and you're asking to understand. I was talking again, like, help me understand what's going on here in life. And search for it as hidden treasure. Then you will understand the fear of the Lord. Because you see, there is an awesomeness in understanding both creation, the things that we can see, and there is an awesomeness in the invisible things that we cannot see, but we have an appreciation for. We understand, for example, when I say we understand gravity. I understand gravity. If there's something that's heavy, it's in a tree, and it breaks off, it's going to fall. But do I understand the fullness of gravity? No, I don't. But he says that we might understand the fear of the Lord and find knowledge of God. For God gives wisdom, and from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Now, so we find here, Solomon is saying that from God comes knowledge and understanding and wisdom and appreciation for this.
Feeling the blues today, or tired of life already? Do you have questions about life or need spiritual advice? The Worldwide Church of God is located in Fairfield, Santa Rosa, and Modesto, California. We welcome everyone to attend our worship services with us every week at the times listed on your screen.